And welcome to what looks like a very overcast Silverstone tonight as we try and prepare ourselves for what should be a fascinating Tier 1 showdown. We're in the race 11 out of 12. This is the time where the title could be decided, and it's all come down between two men, Ugoni in the Ferrari and, of course, Chris Bailey in the Mercedes. And joining me for what should be a sweatfest in more ways than one, it's the man with the mane. It's Simba. Simba, how you doing tonight?
Evening, Rob. I'm not too bad, thank you. A little bit sweaty after that one. How about you?
It was sweaty for a lot of reasons. Last week in Australia we had a real sweat fest. I think there was a lot of very close action, and tonight I hope that we will see a lot of the same because these drivers really know how to race wheel to wheel and nose to tail. It was absolutely fascinating, and I think they're going to have to do a lot of that tonight.
I agree. It was amazing to watch last week. I mean, 2, 3, 4, all within a couple of seconds of each other.
Yeah, it was, and it's going to take a big action here tonight just to sort of spell out the possible conditions we've got for a champion to be crowned tonight. If Ugoni finishes ahead of Chris Bailey on track, that's it, that's done and dusted. He cannot be caught, and he will be our new Tier 1 champion. To keep the championship alive, what we're going to have to do, Chris Bailey's going to have to win, but then Ugoni's going to have to finish 5th or lower. And of course, every time, if Chris doesn't win, if it goes down to 2nd, that means Ugoni's going to have to finish even further down the pack. I think he's got 14 points to make up, so that's going to have to be somewhere ridiculous, like Ugoni finishes, 4 points in F1? 8. So, considering how consistent the Ferrari man's been, it'll be a bit of an uphill battle, but of course anything can happen. We might see a DNF. I don't know how the weather's looking. We're looking a bit overcast tonight, but if you know any weather information, any inside information, do let us know in the YouTube chat, please.
Yeah, it's definitely looking overcast, and it is Silverstone. It's one of the most prone to rain other than Spa, I reckon.
Yeah, it always seems to put together a few surprises. I did a few laps practice in the wet just in case anything happened. Got caught out last week, and these drivers, they run very skinny setups. I think in Tier 1 you've got to be on the edge and be able to control it all the time. You don't see many steady setups, so I wonder if a little sprinkle of rain could put an element of danger into the track tonight. I'm going to stay on board with the McLaren man, BDR Calvin. He's had a couple of really impressive results of late, was up there battling within the Sweatfest last week, and he's steadily got better and better. Let's see what he can do out on track tonight. I'm going to hide you, and we're going to take you on a lap of this wonderful British circuit. So, lining it up for a go lap, and away he goes, and across the start-finish straight. It is flat out now. You've got a right-hander. You've got to take as much of that car on the left-hand side as you can and really hook the car in. That's excellent. Carry that speed through. And when you're done, you can watch the barriers break around about 50. You've got this right here. Run the car all the way out, and then left. This one's all about carrying the speed through as well as he sort of has to run the car out. Not that wide. Straights the car out nice and quickly, and then the DRS is wide open. Now into Woodlands, you've got this fast left again. You're going to hook it, you only go down into 5th gear, cuts a little bit corner, but that's okay, I think. It's a little bit wide that corner, he's not really hanging at the apex. And now we're on to one of the most infamous corners in all of F1. This is Cops. You're going to have to be very careful around here. In qualifying, you've got to go flat out, hopefully. I think he's invalidated, hasn't he? He's got a big red lap, that's why he's pulled out of the lap. So I will have to find somebody else so I can actually show you a fast lap around here. Let's see who else is on a fast lap. Who have we got? G-Star, the man from the Netherlands, is here. Let's see how he does Cops as he hooks it in. He's in 8th gear. He's going to try not to go wide. He does manage it. And then you're into Maggots and Beckett, who sort of go left, right, left again, hang on for dear life, and then it's all about gear selection, trying to get on the power as soon as possible, literally using all that curve, but it's okay. DRS zone wide open, and you've got a very tricky right-hander. It's so easy to invalidate on the outside if you're not careful. Has he carried enough speed in through there, straightens up the throttle, that's nice. And then into the tight, twisty technical section at the end, left, right, and if you get on the beams too early, you can lose the back end through here. That car's looking nice and steady, and the Aston Martin man is across line in 2nd place, 0.7 off our leader. Look at Ugoni up the top. 127.5. If we thought there were going to be any nerves in the Ferrari, man, he isn't showing them yet.
No, he's really on it tonight. Kid Dynamite's just jumped into second with a 27.8.
Yeah, excellent lap from the Alpine man. Of course, he's not quite in the championship race anymore in third place. I think he'll want to consolidate that third place from Jay Sargent, who's in fourth, and who's been making up a lot of places recently. Jace getting some of his form back, maybe just in time for the new game, which, as you'll know, is, if you've got the Champions Edition, it'll be out tomorrow. If you've got the normal edition, it'll be out on Friday. But I think a lot of our new drivers are looking forward to getting off this game as quickly as possible and onto one with maybe a little bit of an improved handling model, or so I've heard.
Oh, I so can't wait to hit the delete button on this game.
Me too.
I just want to go, bye-bye, done, delete.
It sounds miserable. I want to stay positive because we have got a tier 1 champion today, and obviously these are the people in tier 1 who have mastered the game to a great extent. But that new handling model, that change as they tried to get things right, I really think, they've said that the traction's a little bit better, the torque from the engine is more realistic. They've had actual F1 drivers saying that medium traction control did feel more realistic than actually no traction, and as somebody who runs no TC, it has been, the car has felt absolutely on a knife edge at points. So fingers crossed we can all find a bit of form back and find a little bit more fun in this game. On board with you. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to say I'm really hoping so. I mean, I played the beta and it was, no traction was a massive improvement. I've tried it on the last 2 games and I've always ended up going back to medium.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, we always try and get people to take off assists if we can. We do allow people to run assists, and that's just a part of this racing. We want it to be close as well as fair. It is a miserable experience, isn't it, when you're trying to reduce them and you just can't get used to it. I felt this one is just, it's the consistency on the throttle. It really doesn't take that much for the car just to give away under you, and it just feels...
Yeah, I mean, I've never known a car that can absolutely throw the back end in 5th gear.
Yes, precisely. But it seems to happen every other lap if you're not careful. And gosh, in wet weather. On Australia last week, it felt like I was controlling a shopping trolley at points. Absolutely miserable. But let's see where we are in the field as Ghost Rider goes up into 8th place.
That's great from a tier 3 driver.
Yeah, really impressive. I was about to say, look at the time differences we've got. Bugoni is he's got the full second to Jay Sarge, choosing 4th. Chris Bailey, I know his first lap was on a pair of mediums, so he just did a bit of a sighter, doing a bit of a George Russell. He'll want to make sure that he can get a fast time in come the end of this. Let's see who else we've got on screen.
I'm just about to watch Ugoni, see what he can improve by.
Let's have a look at our tier 1 leader then. He'll be looking for a very boring race tonight. No thrills, no safety cars. Just bring it home anywhere on the podium, and he is our tier 1 champion. And looking at his last few results, looking at the consistency he's had all season. 1 DNF at the first, he did not start the first race of our season, and won 5th place. I think that was at his home race in Italy. And apart from that, it's been podiums every single time out. So, Chris Bailey's going to have to pray to whatever gods he believes in tonight to try and hope that something happens to that Ferrari.
It's an absolute pleasure to watch Ugoni. The annoying thing is, what's really disheartening for everybody is he only practices for about an hour before a race. He'll do some laps on the day of the race, that's it, he's done.
Yeah, he's obviously
and just got it.
Whereas
some of us spend hours and hours practicing and can't get anywhere near that time.
I know, and he doesn't seem to have any of the twitches, any of the unsteadiness. I'd love to see what setup he goes for to help bring that kind of stability to him. Look how planted it is. He rams it through this corner. This right-hander, it's so easy to go wide there, but he hasn't invalidated. We're about to see what his second time is about to be. And 127.5 is the time he set himself to beat, and as it goes across the line, it's going to be a 127.3, puts another 0.2 on it. Once again, stretching out his lead. Excellent lap from the Ferrari man.
You just know everybody else is going, why is he so fast? Sarge has just had a big moment coming out of Beckett's into Village.
Oh yeah, he's just doing a bit of rallying there, isn't he? So G-Star had to take a little bit of evasive action. I don't think he's on a hot lap now, he's just warming up his tyres, so That won't have affected the Dutchman too much.
Let's have a look at Chatty Duck in the Williams. He seems to be just starting a lap.
Go for it. With a little bit of traffic up ahead. I don't know which Mercedes that is, but everybody's usually very well behaved, and it's all about track awareness as well as he goes past. There we go, nicely done. Chatty Duck's had a bit of an on and off season, hasn't he? I want to see where he is in the standings. He's always one who I think is quite quick, and yeah, he got 3rd place last time out, which was very good. His first podium of the season. Really hoping that he can, improve on that. He's somebody who's, nice presence in the Discord as well. Always nice to have him about. And look at that car go. You go through Maggie Beckett, you can see the car strain against the aerodynamics. You think it's going to go way at the back at any moment. And he keeps it on board.
It's looking like he could be on for P3 with this lap.
Oh, that would be a really good improvement. Of course, 1.4 seconds behind our leader, but only 1 second behind the person in 2nd place. That gap between Igoni and the rest of the field is a little bit deceitful. Let's see if he's got. There was a car in the way, there's a camera there, but we're going to go across the line, and that's 4th place. Oh gosh, he's just missed out on 3rd place by 0.1, and Xavier behind goes up into 3rd place in the AlphaTauri. Excellent lap from the German. Of course, one of our other former champions here at MRC Tier 1.
Yeah, the fun fact, if Xavier wins the X Championship on Friday, he will be our most successful driver with 4 championships. Oh
wow! Well, that'll be. He won't have any space left in his Discord name, will he? He'll start to go off the screen if we had any more championships to him. But it really couldn't happen to a nicer bloke. Let's see, we've got Chris. Sorry, go ahead.
He really is one of the nicest people. Everybody seems to love him.
Oh, he's just a very respectful driver. He's in my DMs first time when I used to be fast, when I was in Tier 1, saying what a pleasure it was. We had a couple of laps side by side, it felt, as we were going through on Brazil. We were very much right by each other for about half a lap, and I just picked him at the post, and he was like, fair play, mate. It's nice to have that respect between racers. We all want to win, we all want to go fast, but more importantly, you want to make sure you can trust the bloke next to you, and that you or your mates aren't going to do something silly around him, because all we want to do is try and race fast and make sure that we've got a fair result at the end of the day. I'm going to stick on board with Chris Bailey here. He's got it up into 3rd place with 1 lap on the softs. He's obviously down 2 seconds, so this must be his in lap. So let's take on board with somebody else who is just
Pulver's on a lap, but yeah, if you maybe a couple that are coming up for warm-ups.
Yeah, we'll stick with Pova as well. Again, another lovely presence on the Discord. Really should get back to him about my wheel, but if you're listening, Pova, I will, when I have a spare moment, I will contact you about that. He's just a guy with a love for racing. He always seems to be there, willing to give it a go. And I know he's out on the mediums at the moment, but he must be setting himself up for either a very hot lap, or he wants to try that infamous last the first challenge. If he does try it, I must say he's going to very big challenge if you want to try and usurp somebody like Igoni tonight, and he pops into the pits, so that'll be the end of his quick lap.
That's strange, it looked like it was on for a fairly decent time as well.
Yeah, maybe just wasn't quite feeling
Unless
it.
Unless he's realised the time and gone, oh, I needed to do a soft
Yes, yeah, that might be it. I'm on board with Ghost Rider at the moment in the McLaren. He's up 0.2 seconds on his time. That'll be enough to put him into the top 10. You say Ghost Rider, one of our Tier 3 drivers, doing it really impressively now. We can up into P2 for the Mercedes. I think if Chris Bailey's got any chance tonight, he needs his teammate to help him out and maybe do a little bit of, tactical driving. Ghost Rider up into 9th place. Excellent drive from the McLaren driver there. Who should we stick on board then, just as this qualifying really starts to heat up as we're into those all-important final laps?
See who's on an out lap. There's a few of them, but nobody seems to be near the line as such.
Now, I tell you what then, I will start on board with Igoni, who is maybe our championship leader, the current pole sitter, and he'll be the one who wants to set down yet another banker lap. He's got 0.4 seconds to play with, so I wouldn't be too nervous, but you just don't know how this track is going to rubber in. You don't know if some of the others might have had a couple of sandbags in and now they're ready to throw them off, a little bit of extra fuel in the car just in case something goes wrong. It doesn't look like he's going to put a foot wrong. Maybe now is time for the Banzai lap, that one where you really put the tyres on the edge of the white line, praying you don't invalidate. and seeing just how far ahead he can get from the rest of the field. Moving up there, he can settle in to the lap. I'm going to go on board again. I'm going to take away all the graphics apart from that timing on the top right hand screen. Turn the volume up at home. We'll do this as you remember on Sky when they do the power laps. See if you can really hear that Ferrari engine whine. That's so drilled in to the apex, using all of that, just avoiding that sort of a little twitch there. Slight correction. I wonder if that's going to cost him time to section 1 as we're just coming up to the timing line, I think. Yeah, he's down 0.13 seconds, so that little twitch has cost him. Gonna have to find something very special, and he loses it right at the end. He's pushing so hard. It's not gonna be a better time for the Ferrari man. He might be able to get back for another lap, but it's gonna be very, very close. So now that's gonna put it back into the hands of somebody like Chris Bailey. Let's stay on board with him as he starts his fast lap. Now he needs to do something. He needs to find 0.6 seconds if he wants to try and put this car in first. Yellow flags around him, a little bit of traffic, but as he comes up to Brooklands, keep an eye on that timing in the top right hand. See if he's up or down on his time. He's down by 0.137, so he's got to find another half a second. It might not be impossible depending on how much this track is rubbering in.
Sargi's down as well.
Shame, yeah, now he's
could have sworn I saw a speck of rain when he was starting his lap, but nothing's emerged since.
Yeah, it is overcast. We're talking about the track rubbering in, but if those track temperatures are going down, it will just get a little bit harder. I wonder if something like that did catch out the Ferrari man. Look at Bailey throwing that car through. Magnussen back in, getting a little bit on the grass, but it's not going to cost him too much. Let's see again, he's up 0.237 seconds, so that will put him up, I think, into the top 3. That's where he needs to be. I think he'll want to be battling Ujoni, or at least be side by side into turn 1. He's giving it all the beans now. Look at that helmet going. He goes down the last 2 corners. You really don't want to mess up now. The heart is in the mouth. And now we're going to see where he is. He goes across the line. 125, 126, 127.589. That's second place. That's a really incredible lap. He had to put it on the front row of the grid, and he has. But of course, we've got a lot of other very quick drivers behind.
We certainly have. I'm just going to watch on board with his one of his challenges for the title in X. Who's such a bailed actually.
He's gone.
G-Star. Have a look at Saviour. I think he's just starting one.
But yeah, Saviour could be the driver to spoil the party for our top 2. Decides to put his car on the front row.
I'm sure we'll be praying for it, because he's come from nowhere in the X Championship just to say hello, I'm here. I want to go.
Just keeps putting it. He is, yeah, he's down on his time, but it's only by 0.086, so that's not going to be enough really to challenge. He's going to have to find an awful lot of time through these last 2, 0.7 seconds, and I'm just not quite sure if that is possible.
It depends how good his sectors were before.
Yeah, Kid Dynamite down 0.2. I think he is the man to watch. Is he the man who could ruin Chris Bailey's party and decide to put it in second place? Of course, we all know how fast Kid is. Had a bit of bad luck in Australia with, again, that traction control, just meaning he speared off into the wall. One of those things that can happen in these cars. But he's looking very racing. We all know how much he loves this circuit. He's won it at 100% here, starting from the back into our MRCX races. So he does seem to absolutely think that this is his circuit. If he could take the tarmac and roll it up in his pocket, take it home with him, he would. But for now, it's firmly on the track for everybody else to enjoy as we go around the final corner. What's that final time going to be? A 1:27. But wow, he leaves in the back end as he goes across the line. So we don't know what that time could have been. He's just donuts there, but he's only going to be 4th place.
Carl's just had a collision with Brave and 5+ grid penalty.
That's a shame. That's going into the pit. Such a long pit area here as well. You only really want to have a 1-stop if you can help it, and yeah, it does sneak up on you there. So that's a shame for the Tier 2 driver, who's very respectable P13 there. He's going to find himself starting a bit further down the grid. I think that is your qualifying done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll wait for our last couple of drivers to find their way into the pit box. So we see the Red Bull being tucked away, put to sleep. Night night Red Bull, night night everybody, wave it night night. And finally, fingers crossed, we will be able to tell you our grid for race 11 of Tier 1 of this MRC series.
So we see the title decided tonight, though.
Well, there's certainly an awful lot of that on board, but let's take you through the top drivers now. So we've got your championship leader and pole sitter Ugoni in first. Chris Bailey second in the championship and second on the grid tonight in the Mercedes. And it's his teammate Reese Whitcomb in third, Kid Dynamite in fourth, G-Star in the Aston Martin in fifth, LRL in the Haas, Chatty Duck in seventh, Saviour in 8th, BRD Calvin in 9th, Ghost Rider 10th, excellent performance there from the Tier 3 driver, Sergeant Uncle Sam in 11th, Nick BT down in 12th, Bit will be 13th, but he will have, remember, that 5th-place grid penalty, Lorpy in 4th, J Sarge 15th, The Slayer in 16th, Call Me The Rave in 17th, Pova in 18th, 19th is Ant, who again has decided to qualify on Inters, because that's what he does nowadays, and SW will be starting, unfortunately, from the back of the grid. So, championship be decided. Who are your favourites for the race tonight, Simba?
I think I want to be boring and go a Journey or possibly Kid Dynamite, because we know how mighty he is at Silverstone.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot there. It was really interesting. It was such a shame he just lost it right on that final turn, because I do think he would have been up there, maybe challenging third, possibly second. I wonder how much the tyre choice is going to count, and if he's going to choose like a softer tyre to try and fight through the grid, or if he's just going to be held up a little bit by those cars in front of him. And of course, it's hard to look past Chris Bailey. That's a man who's fought absolutely tooth and nail to get where he is in this championship. And even if it doesn't come off today, I think we can all say that he's had an absolutely wonderful season. It takes a lot to push a driver like Ugoni to the last 2 races. So we're going to set up on the grid as we see it. We'll just wait for everything to load in. There's your pit stop strategy. So 1 stop, probably the quickest, with the pit lane being here so long. That's 1 medium and 1 set of hards. And then the other alternative strategy is soft, medium, medium. But I think only we'll see the most desperate drivers try that today. Let's see what tyre compounds everybody's starting with. Ooh, look at that up the top. And we've seen Chris Bailey sort of go for the alternate strategy a lot, but today he's decided that he wants to keep that Ferrari exactly in his sights, exactly the same strategy, both starting on the hards. Is that what you would have done?
Yeah, I suppose if you're in a title battle, you want to be doing sort of the same as your rival.
Yeah, it can.
I mean, personally, I started on the mediums.
Yeah, it is a bit tricky. It does tend to chew tyres up a little bit around Silverstone. I know that you've just taken a pair of hards a very, very long way.
That was actually mediums with that.
Oh, was it mediums? Was it right at the end? Right.
Yeah, because I got damage off an unfortunate spin with Monster. He had an unfortunate spin, I hit him, got damage, pitted for a set of hards, they didn't change my wing. So when the safety car got thrown, I re-pitted to fix the damage and threw on a set of mediums. And went to the end on them, 16, 17 laps.
He's kind of insane. Well, don't forget him that far, and you must have had worried that you're going to have a Lewis Hamilton-esque moment with only 3 wheels on your wagon as he went over the first.
I was pretty much expecting it. I was 78% on the front left at the end.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
With a nearly 30-second pit lane, I could not pit.
Yeah, that's a big risk around here. It's so vital that you do keep all those bits of carbon fibre on your car. It is called carb on, not carb off, so remember to keep it stuck on there and not stick your nose in anywhere where it won't be welcome. Maybe the one to watch then is the Aston Martin man, G-Star, who is our highest medium runner. He'll be the one who's trying to fight through the field a little bit, hoping that he can make the most of that tyre while he can. He's, second place in the MRC X Championship at the moment, so we all know that he is...
Third, I believe, now.
Oh, third. He's just fallen behind Saviour. So, yeah, that'd be... We all know that he's fairly quick on his day, so there he is with the black helmet lining up on the front of the grid. Fingers crossed he can get a good start today as well. Right, we'll take...
Yeah, I'm going to watch him off the start as the highest medium runner.
I'm going to try and find an actually good camera angle, because all of these are rubbish. Start on board with the 3rd place man, Reese Whitcomb, with a really good view of those lights. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, hold, And it's go here. Look at that start. He's got to jump his teammate, and look at that, he's already alongside Ugoni as they're into the first corner.
Oh, there's a big crash in the background.
Blimey, that is. We got stick with Reese Whitcomb, who, the Mercedes man, is already up into the lead. Look at them side by side as we go through the first set of corners. That hasn't quite worked out how Chris Bailey thought, but he'll want his teammate in the lead just to slow down that Ferrari man a little bit and do anything he can. Who are the big losers then as we go back through the field? I think Sergeant Uncle Sam's in a moment. BRD Calvin seems to be falling back down the field. Chappie Duck is a long way behind as well, and we've got a hash round. I think that's the Slayer. But we're going to keep our focus right up the front as Reese Whitcomb goes into the lead. Look at the Haas and LR and G-Star side by side, both medium runners, so they're both on the same tyre. Is he going to stick a wheel up the inside of Cox? Is he going to? I think G-Star's just got a little bit of a run. He doesn't think about it, no. And so we avoid that moment, we avoid history repeating itself. So it's the Dutchman up into fourth place.
Now the problem was LOL, I believe, is German, so it probably wasn't going to happen. It'd have been more scary if we had a Dutchman and an Englishman.
It would have been, but yeah, we can replay moments from 2021 all over again. We're going to stick with the action here tonight. I've got Kid Dynamite going for a bit of a move. He's thinking about a move on Saviour. In the Alpha Tauri, Xavier has to run a bit wide just to avoid him, and yes, it's the Alpine up into 6th place. So Kid Dynamite starting in 4th, has fallen back a little bit on those hard tyres, but he's starting to make those places up again as Ghost Rider goes past Nick BT up into 9th place. So excellent move again there from the Tier 3 driver, showing that he's got some serious pace here tonight.
I've just had a flashback of when Agoni won his last title. It was actually at this track, I believe.
Well,
or was it Spa? It was one of the two, because they had an epic last lap battle between Reese and Agoni.
Yeah, I mean, it appears that maybe they are set to repeat history here, because these two are not living up. Chris Bailey behind, he's still within that DRS, but he's got to defend from a very racy looking Dutchman behind him. We said that G-Star on those mediums would want to try and make them work. He'd want to battle them way up the field. He's got rid of 3 hard runners. Now he's got another one in his sights. He had such a good run up to Cops. He managed to take LRO round the outside. What is he going to think of doing this time? He doesn't do anything yet, which I think is a bit smart. But look at the run he's got. Is he going to go side by side with Mags and Beckett? You can't do that. And he says, no, I can't. That's okay. I might wait a little bit until we've got another opportunity. DRS will be available at the end of this lap, remember. So it's all about making sure that you are within 1 second. And LRL behind on the other medium runners. He's now 1.7 seconds behind the Dutchman, so he hasn't achieved that. He's going to have J Sarge all over the back of him. I think we've got Saviour and Nick BT going side by side. Something's happened to Kid as well, hasn't it? Because I was expecting to see the other Alpine there.
But yeah, he's down in 18th.
Yeah, down in 18th, so he must have had a little bit of a moment. Such a shame. Oh, one of the best drivers we've had in the league. It's been a rough time the past few races, but at least he knows he's got the pace to catch back up with the rest of the field.
I've just looked it up and it was Silverstone where Agoni took his title by 1 point.
Ooh.
It was an epic last lap battle between Reese and Agoni.
Well, sometimes once you've won your first championship, that spurs you on to bigger and better things, and he does seem to... the equation tonight is a little bit easier, remember. As it stands, all he needs to do is defeat the Mercedes man, outscore him, and it's a very simple equation. He will be champion, and that is the case right now. But
I think Reese is going to want revenge, though.
Oh yes, no, and I think that I don't know if Reese is going to be in on the team game, or if he's just going to say, no, I need to take the race win. If I can take that 25 points away from the Ferrari man, that reduces his chances. But really, for Chris Bailey to have a chance, he'll need that 25 points if he wants to put any sort of pressure going into the last round. What would be worrying Chris Bailey at the moment is that he thought he might be out of DRS. He's not. He's just 0.8 seconds behind. But once again, as I say, he's got that Aston Martin in his mirrors. Is the Aston Martin going to go for an inside move? No. Thinks about it, but the angle is cut off by the Mercedes, and they're all being very nice and fair up at the front. Where are other big battles? Going to go down to Anthony, who once again started on the Inters. He's one of the soft runners. He started down in 20th place. Look at this, up to 12th already. Impressive.
He seems to like these random strategies.
He doesn't mind starting at the back, waiting for the chaos to happen around him, and then the softs help him work through the field. I think he usually needs maybe a safety car or two to help him out in the long run, because it's certainly not what you would have as the optimum strategy around here. Oh, what's happened at the top there? Is that Reese? Reese is round, and that's put, well, it puts Chris up into second, but more importantly, it's Ugoni up into first, and that's just what the Mercedes duo did not want, I'm afraid. That's really blown the title race, and it's swinging back in the favour of the Ferrari man.
Which Chris really won't be liking.
No, and again, look at that gap as well. We said it was so important to keep it at just a second. Only 0.3 gain this lap, but it is enough. So that means that Chris Bailey will not have DRS, but the man behind him in the Aston Martin will. We're going to stay on board with him as we go through Maggotts and Beckett. He's going to be lining up a move here. He's going to be hungry for it. That gap increasing ever so slightly. Keeping an eye on that top speed. We head down 100, but over 200 miles an hour now. How skinny is this Aston Martin? But he's not going to quite be able to close up the gap he needs to get past. He's going to stick in third place for a moment.
Yeah, he's going to be patient with it. We seem to have a bit of a train going on further back though.
Where's that? With Over or
Calvin's trying to make a move on Sergeant Uncle Sam, but all the drivers back there are like...
Oh, that's Aston Martin round in front.
Lorpy.
Lorpy's gone. I mean, he's gone, but he doesn't seem to have brought a safety car or anything, thankfully, so the train moves on. But yeah, there's guys gaining a couple of positions just because somebody else's misfortune. Kid Dynamite there, we said he was quick. Look at that, pumping in a 1:31.2, fastest lap of the race, so he might be 18th. He might be on those hards, but he still isn't slow. He'll be closing in on this pack in front of him.
So what battles we've got going on. Ooh, Seppi and Saviour. I think they've just swapped position.
Yeah, they have. SW up into the lead. Saviour, of course, in the Alpha Tauri. It's going to be interesting. They're sort of on their own. I think the DRS trains are super powerful around here. Get out of them and you do find yourself a little bit stranded. Let's go up on top though to G-Star. That gap, it was about 0.4 last time he tried it. He got it down to 0.2. That gap is going to be closing. He's closing at a much better speed now as Chris Bailey decides to defend on the outside. The gap sort of closed there at the last minute for G-Star, but he's going to think of having another go. Very hard to get it done around the outside here as well, and yeah, Chris Bailey was entitled to that corner, blocks off the space, excellent display of defensive driving, but once again that just means that Ugoni can skip up the road and say thank you very much. I don't mind that you guys are battling, as long as I'm not battling I can conserve my tyres and have a very boring race at the front.
Yeah, he's literally sat there with mountains of ERS just cruising around.
Yeah, well if you don't need to use it if you're quick enough.
You guys battle, I'll just drive my own race now.
They're pumping in another fastest lap, another purple, 1:31.1. There's a safety car or something that brings them all together. Kid Dynamite is going to be one to watch. Is that G-Star going to try and go up the outside of Chris Bailey through Brooklands? This man is desperate to get past, but every time he tries, Bailey sticks it on the apex, shuts the door. Oh, and there's a Red Bull round in the background. That's J-Sarge. Losing the back end.
He was looking like he was very hungry tonight.
Yeah. Look at the way that G-Star is like a wasp all over the rear end of Chris Bailey. He's going this way and that, but that has brought LRL back into it. He has to be careful here, because all this battling means that the train is just coming up behind him. And we know LRL isn't any slouch at all either. Look at this, he's got a lot of power. He's going to go round the outside, and yes, is he going to make it stick?
I think he has.
Yes, he does. So finally the Aston Martin man gets that second place. But then Bailey, he's going to be the one with the DRS. He's going to be the one maybe who can start to fight back, as long as he can keep in this strain. I don't think he was holding up G-Star that much, but let's see what he can do the rest of this.
Well, the thing is, they're on different tyre strategies as well, so Chris should, by rights, be faster later.
Yes, precisely, and it's all about, you know, the overcut, undercut, how much will G-Star pitting earlier. He might get stuck in a bit of traffic as well, you never know, and traffic can cost you an awful lot of time. At the moment it does look like that medium tyre is still the tyre to be on, as That gap was about 0.2 up to 0.5. The one thing Bailey does not want to do is lose the slipstream of the Aston Martin ahead. It could be disastrous. J Sarge up into Nigel. Ant and him are just battling their way just after Brooklands, but it's okay. The man on the softs. Wonder how warm those will be feeling after 7 laps. They can't be very friendly. After his charge up the field, up to 12th and now up into 9th, seems to be able to stick it there as well, and he'll have to stay on the slipstream of Call Me the Brave. I think that's his strategy.
Well, as I found with the mediums, they're pretty good until you hit about 60%.
Yeah.
And that's when the cliff appears and they're just gone.
Yes, an understeer around here can be absolutely horrible. I said how important it was going to be for Bailey to keep within 1 second of G-Start. He hasn't, well, he is just about, but that doesn't mean he's under any less pressure from the other medium runners behind. Yeah, he has, just defending from LRL, so these medium runners, he's just swarmed by them at the moment, and it's not quite working out his way this evening. He needs the Ferrari man to have a mechanical or a moment or something, because as it stands, the Italian is taking that championship home with him.
I think it's pretty much a full-on conclusion, really, unless he has a massive issue and finishes very low points.
It is, but you've got to remember, anything can happen. As you said, it was a last-lap battle here, and something by 1 point. You've got to keep going to the end. There's a long way in this race to go. How much have we got? 18 laps, and it's a very long lap round here. And he's just got to hope and pray that something happens where he finds a little bit of extra pace. But look at this, the Haas is behind, but look at Nick BT as well. He wants in on the action as he goes very wide there through Cops. See the action in front of Magnum and Maggots and Beckett, that Haas, that red light flashing, and look at the closing speed. Very different approaches he's got through there, and I think if he hadn't had that Haas there, he would have made up more speed, but he has to back out. That highly compromises his run down into this fast right-hander. And once again, the Haas isn't going to have enough speed. That gap though between Chris Bailey and G-Star just opening up by a second. G-Star actually catching you only a little bit, was 1.5, gap now down to about 1.3, 1.2, so some serious pace here from the Dutchman tonight.
Really is. Let's move on and see what else is going on, because it's battles galore. There's just trains everywhere. Yeah,
oh gosh, I just saw Reese Wickham spin in the back there. I think he's pushing a bit hard, but he's down into 12th. I'm going to stay on board with J Sarge and Call Me the Brave. A fascinating battle. I think J Sarge might be thinking of a move here. Is there a bit of wheel bashing? He's okay for the moment. He's thinking about going around the outside. I remember he is going to have the DRS, but I think Ant is as well. He has to go very wide, take evasive action. Let's go back on the track safely, guys. Eyeing up a move, I think, on the next DRS zone, because those softs really seem to be struggling on the other Aston Martin car. You can't keep Aston Martin out of the race here at their home Grand Prix.
There's quite a few that can call this the home Grand Prix.
Yes, a lot of factories aren't there around the Silverstone section. J Sarge just reminds out that he's there, says, yeah, I'm not going to stick a wheel up the inside of Cops, but I could. The one problem he's got though is look at that red light flashing at the back. Has he used his ERS too soon? Or does he not need it if he's going to pass the Aston Martin man through? Maggots and Beckett are going to keep on board here.
And his problem is the Aston Martin man has DRS.
Yes.
And he pulls away on the straight.
Yeah, so he can't do anything, unfortunately. It's Call Me the Brave he wants to get rid of, because he's the one man holding everybody up. And there he is, the Aston Martin man. He's off into the pits. Those softs have had enough, so he will be on for one stop. 16 laps, you could probably go soft hard around here, couldn't you? So he wants to stay on a one stop.
Yeah, he could easily go to the hards. I mean, there were a couple of laps on the safety car, but I did 16 laps on the mediums, so about 14 racing.
Yeah. Gosh,
so I reckon you could get 15.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. Sorry, I'm on board with LRL. He's had a little bit of a moment, and Nick BT's over the back. He had a bit of a twitch. I wonder if the Alpine is going to go for a move around the outside of Brooklands. No, look at that. There's no gap there. He's not affording it. There's one around the inside that's sort of teasing. Is he going to stick a nose up there? They're going to have to be very respectful as we go down into Cops. Nobody is backing out yet, but maybe the Alpine should, and yes, he does. Just tucks in behind the Haas driver. That's good news for Chris Bailey. He says, yeah, you two fight amongst yourselves. I want to have a little bit of a cushion in first place. Thank you very much.
I think Sarge may have Brave at the next DRS zone.
Let's have a look then. Yeah, he had
him up very quickly.
Yeah, he had Ant between them, and as we said, Brave was sort of stopping and making the pass on Ant because Ant had the DRS. Jay Sarge, we said that red light was flashing. He doesn't have much of his own power to spend, and it might mean that he has to spend just another lap behind this AlphaTauri driver. As we see, Nick DT, he's gone into the pits. He's had enough of those mediums. So, yeah, once again, some drivers thinking, yeah, we can go for a mega undercut here and hope we can do a lot of laps on the hard.
The problem is with this track, it degrades the tyres so much.
Yeah, he got
very hard on them.
Yeah, and Jay Sarge has done exactly the same as well. So, two of our very quick drivers in already, maybe a little bit earlier than we expected, getting off them after 10 laps. But you can take the hards 16 laps very easily around here. No safety cars yet, remember as well. So, if there is a later one, that might be a bit of a poor move as I'm looking at Saviour and SW going for it. Oh, SW just cutting off the corner, but Saviour just about a little bit of space. There's contact between the two. And at least Saviour hasn't come away from that with any notable damage, but he is going to feel a little bit aggrieved. You may see that in the stewards later. The door just seems to slam shut on him.
That's never a good thing, but like you say, if there's anything in it, it'll come up with the stewards.
Precisely. And looking back up top, we said that we thought the Ferrari man might just be going off into the distance, but look what G-Star's been able to do. That gap was standing at about 0.5 3 or 4 laps ago, but he's been catching. And now I wonder if he's thinking that maybe he can go along and win this entire race.
Possibly, but he's also got to factor in that he's got the hard run to go yet, whereas Ajoni has the mediums to go.
Yeah, I do wonder where, you know, how much those mediums will be screaming, if they are doing it a lot, if they're not at all, where he stands on those, because I've been impressed that they haven't fallen off as well. I would expect them to be, getting a little bit hard to drive on now, but that doesn't seem to be the case compared to the hard. 3-second penalty, unfortunately, for Jay Sarge. 5 seconds for Lawfey speeding in the pit lane. That's the last one that you want, particularly if there's no sort of safety cars to bunch the field up. And Kid Dynamite, once again, he doesn't care. He's on 11 lap old hards, but he puts in another purple lap. He is absolutely flying. Don't write him off yet.
I think this will be the lap where the mediums start to get a bit too much now.
Yeah. Chatty Duck, unfortunately, having a little bit of an incident through Maggots and Beckett, so let's put him down in 20th. There were yellows, but no safety car, thankfully, so we carry on. I'm going to stick on board with the Dutchman, G-Star Snipes. He's now got the Ferrari in his crosshairs. Is he going to snipe him down this, or will it only be the G-Star tonight? Oh, he's way too far back. I've hyped that up far too much with silly puns, and it's going to come to nothing. So I'm going to stick on board with Saviour and SW. Look at the red light flashing on the back of that Williams man as Saviour says, you didn't cut me off the last 3 corners. You're not going to do it again. Takes the inside line. SW doesn't want to give it up, but he's going to have to. And he's not going to quite have the space. So yes, those 2 hard runners carry on, and it's 4th place for the German.
Nice textbook move. Always respectful from Saviour as well.
Yeah, a lot of space given, you exactly where to put his car, and there wasn't much SW could do in response to that.
He is a pleasure to drive with, his Saviour. I've had a couple of battles with him. They don't usually last long because he usually flies past, but when you do get a battle, it's really good.
Yeah, he's I can't think of. Oh no, I can think of one. I think of one occasion, but that was just. It happens. You hit a sausage curve and you're fired into me, and I go, well, fair enough. Those happen sometimes, but the rest of the time, given the trap, he will always give you the space and time to race cleanly and fairly, and that's just what we want. We'll go back on board with G-Star, who I wonder if he is just happy to stay in the DRS of Ugoni, take the little extra speed down the straight. Remember, Chris Bailey isn't going to be getting any of that extra straight line speed because he's 2.2 seconds out, so if G-Star can make these mediums run a little bit longer, we've seen a lot of medium runners go. He's one of There's only 2 medium runners left in this race, those who started on mediums, him and the Slayer. I wonder when he'll think of pitting, or if he's going to go another lap and pray maybe that safety car comes out to help him.
It's possible. Just on board with Uncle Sam, who's gaining on Call Me the Brave.
Just get on board with that one then. Yeah. Heading down is not quite gonna be enough time, is there? No, that straight needs to be 100, 200 metres longer, because Call Me the Brave has done a very good defensive drive. I think he's not quite been as fast as some around him, but he's stuck it on the apex and caused a lot of trouble for drivers, and the others have just fallen away.
Oh, Uncle Sam's just lost it at the final corner.
Oh, that's a shame. I said in practice, didn't I, or in qualifying, how easy it is to do. You just get on the beams a bit too much. That means Reese Whitcomb is up into 8th place. Of course, he was our former race leader. Reese is looking to recover a little bit, and he seems to be doing quite well. Oh, 3 yellows.
Safety car.
Safety car, yes. I don't know what's brought that out.
Virtual, I believe.
Yes, just a virtual for the moment, so no yellow dot in the pit. So you can pit here, save a bit of time, but it isn't going to be as much as a full safety car. I wonder now if it's the time for G-Star to pull the trigger, or if you're a hard runner, would you risk it? Do you think that the mediums could go 12 laps around here? I mean, G-Star's proved that they can, yeah.
If you're near the pit lane, I would have taken the opportunity to save a couple of seconds at least.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody is doing that now. They all seem to have been quite far away. It really does depend how long this lasts. We've got one in the pits now. That might be Chatty Duck, who is taking the opportunity to save a little bit of time on his stop, but he is in 20th. For Chris Bailey, surely it's a case of, I don't know, you either react to the driver in front or you do what the other person does not. Chase Sargent with the drive-through penalty speeding on the virtual safety car as it's removed. So you've got to make your mind up now.
Agoni and G-Star were both pitted.
That's fascinating. So they made their decision. Maybe the virtual safety cars come in, and that means they won't save any extra time as they thought they would. Now's the time.
Load of pitted.
Yeah, now's hammer time, isn't it, really, for Bailey? He has to put in the laps. He's got the warmer tyres. He's the one who might be able to make up a little bit of time. Is the overcut going to work around here? He needs it to.
I suppose it depends on what tyres his rivals are going on to, because the hards are awful to warm up.
They are.
The mediums are not too bad, but the hards I found really bad to warm up. Well, it didn't help I still had a broken wing, so it was no surprise I couldn't turn the corners properly.
Well, that will be a bit tricky. I'm just having a look at our stoppers. So, yeah, so Kid Dynamite actually hasn't stopped yet, or Reese Whitcomb. They're on the hard tyres, so I wondered if they were going to cause any traffic for the drivers around them. They are not. G-Star was right behind Agoni in the pit stop, but he seems to have fallen foul and come out behind the Ferrari of Pova, so he will have a little traffic to contend with.
I think Chris may be pitting this lap because he's really pushing with his ERS.
We've got a car round at the back. SW, unfortunately, has left the session. Oh no, he's just gone off for a little wander, but maybe that was enough to bring up the yellows, and at the end of his time on track. I'm going to stick on board with Kid Dynamite though, and Call Me the Brave going side by side. We said how well Call Me the Brave had done in his position, but he's unable to defend that from the Alpine as he dives into the pits there, the third place man, and Kid Dynamite will carry on 14 laps. Chris Bailey is also our race leader in the pits. Let's see where he comes out compared to the Ferrari of Jonia, who I'm going to stay on board with for now.
Jonia's just coming into the final couple of corners, I believe. Chris is about halfway down the pit lane. This is going to be very, very close.
And it is such a long pit stop down here. Chris Bailey out of his box now. He's going at the final corner.
He's off the limiter. And Agoni's got him.
He has. How many other people have got him? Is he going to head? Oh, he's fallen. Just Pova. So he has been able to jump G-Star in those spots. And remember, now he is on the medium tyre and G-Star is on the hard. So will it be a case of, you know, a bit of reverse fortune? Remember, the only thing that G-Star has going for him is he will have the warmer tyre. He's already eyeing up the move. Look at how impressive this is as he goes down the outside, but he's got full rights. He's fully alongside. He's going to have to keep it in as the cars are going to go. He just fleets it round there. But we've got Chris Bailey still on the inside. There's a little bit of contact between the two, a little bit of wheel bumping, but it's okay. And Chris Bailey has to cede the place to him, and he'll be back down into 7th. And look who else is there. LRL. Again, these three, you can't keep them apart. And he might have to defend from the Hassman as well. The one problem, he is on the faster medium tyre, but his tyres will be cold. He'll be desperate for them to warm up to get a little extra pace.
Should be getting some temperature about now, though.
Yeah, the one problem is he can't just take the place exactly straight back because he's still waiting for the Ferrari of Pover to pit. I wonder if this is a bit of a tactical game for the Ferrari, man. I can keep all your rivals jammed up behind me. I don't need to pit. I'm not in a championship battle. But no, instead he does dip into the pits.
I thought LRL were going for it then.
In look, Casey, he was very, very close. Was it 0.005 seconds?
He did move out of the slipstream like he was going to do it and then changed his mind.
There we go. With that Ferrari of Pover out of the way, you've got more of a realistic view of what our top 6 looks like, as we've got Kid in the pit as well, Reese, Sergeant, Uncle Sam, so I think that will be everybody now having taken their mandatory pit stop. So remember, no other pit stops needed for this race. Ugoni now has that lead. It's extended up to 5 seconds from G-Star on the hards, and it's Chris Bailey, but look at Saviour behind. You've got Saviour looking for the move on LRL down the inside, but LRL's going to have the inside line there as well. He's going to have to go the long way round Saviour. Once again, they do find another way. Look at that twitch though from LRL. Has that compromised him? Yes, it has, and it's Saviour up into 4th place.
Chris has got past G-Star.
Yeah, he has. We just missed that. It seemed to be an odd place to do it, unless G-Star has said, no, I'm going to give you that place and I want the DRS. I think my best chance of keeping up with you is either being in your DRS or passing you back. And this.
It's possible, because as I cut to him, Chris kind of weaved like he was saying thank you.
Yeah, it just seemed to have been released a little bit, but...
Unless G-Star's let him go, going, right, championship fight is you two, just go.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe there was a twitch, I don't know what happened, maybe. To see what G-Star says.
Kid Dynamite did on Friday.
Yes, yeah, there's a lot of drivers who just say, no, I don't want to be involved, I don't want to be the car, I don't want to be the Timo Glock that causes somebody else to win or lose the championship. It should be the 2 best drivers up against each other, and that's what we're seeing at the top, but that is a monumental gap now at the start, at the top of the race. But it was 5 seconds, now it's up to 5.8. As he's really making those mediums work, as we've got Nick BT going for a move on LRO as well. As he can get it as they go down to Brooklyn. They're both going to have DRS, and yes, he just has to pull out a little bit and rethink, is he? Yeah, he won't go for that inside move there. But it's a really interesting train from Chris Bailey all the way back to Nick BT. Once again, it's a sweat fest behind, and Ugoni is just up the front. He's not sweating at all. He doesn't think it's raining in turn 8. There's no sweat on his helmet.
I love the George Russell reference.
He's just saying, thank you very much, I'll have a quiet stroll up the top. But now it's Saviour on the Aston Martin man, and now he said he was so quick on those mediums to begin with, but now he is the only hard runner in the top 3, and is it starting to tell? That different strategy costing him a little bit, as that AlphaTauri looks very racy behind. Thinking of a move, yep, he had the time and space. I think G-Star's gone very wide there, and he's able to just come back onto the racing line. Saviour thinking about it again, but no, not quite getting it done. And
he has a moment.
Yeah, he just lost it under traction, and all of a sudden, through goes Nick BT, through goes LRL. The same place that Hamilton went through all those years ago, and it's suddenly gone from a very good place for Saviour to a very bad one as he finds himself back down in 6th position.
Well, it's quite ironic we're on the 2022 game, because the through goes Hamilton was from 2022.
Oh, it was, yes, of course it was.
It was Perez's Red Bull, was it Leclerc's Ferrari, and Hamilton in the silver Mercedes?
It was, yeah, and it's a great moment and you remember it, but then you forget that the Mercedes was so rubbish that year. Those 2 cars easily passed them later in the race. But hey, you don't have the same moment as you do normally. You've got all eyes on Nick BT here. That little bit of argy-bargy means that that train from Chris Bailey has spread out a little bit now. G-Star out of DRS, LRL out of DRS range as well. And it's just the Alpine and the AlphaTauri man behind it. As you can see from Saviour's point of view, that red light is flashing on the Alpine ahead, so he won't be able to rely on his ERS to give him that extra little push along the main straight.
Not that Saviour's got a lot himself.
I think they are.
But it is considerably more than Nick, so...
Yes. They're all spending it when they can, and you can see the Haas ahead.
Here he comes.
happen here. He's going for the outside line, which if you can make it stick, which I think he has, it's an excellent move there from the German. A little bit cleaner than he was able to make on G-Star or whatever's happening through those last few corners. So he's up into 5th place, and once again we'll be on a little bit of charge as we've got 7 laps of this Tier 1 race. At the moment, as you see it, Rigoni's going to have a little bit of a moment because that gap up the top is pretty steady at 5.5 seconds. Neither driver really pulling away or being able to pull back into the clutches of the Mercedes man. It's been a textbook race from the Ferrari, and to be honest, it's what we've seen all season from him, isn't it?
Yeah, this does seem to be a good track for him. It's one he seems to like.
Which is even more dangerous, isn't it? He's pretty good on tracks he don't like as well. So put him on a track he does like, and it's a recipe for disaster. Of course, anything could happen. We're still in that safety car window. If there's a crash or anything that happens like that, could bunch the field back together, and then anything could happen. Penalties have got to come into play. It's been amazing that you look at the top few drivers; they've been able to avoid 3-second penalties, which are usually quite an obstacle at Britain. It's very easy to accidentally put a wheel over the wrong white line. Yeah,
I had 2 laps early on in the race. Didn't get another one for ages, and then all of a sudden I've got 3 seconds.
Yeah, I think so.
Just because I put 2 wheels on the wrong curb.
Very frustrating, and it can feel a little bit random at times as I'm on board with Saviour. We've got the German trying to go up the inside. He's side by side. He deserves the space. He's allowed the space. But no, the Haas just parks it on the apex and says, no, thank you very much. I've got a bit more of a lead and I'll have to wait another lap. But he is looking very racy. I think he wants 3rd place here, Saviour. That has to be his goal.
Oh, you wouldn't blame him.
It's these 3 all over them. But look, it's Nick BT. He just won't go away. And he says, you want 3rd place? I want 3rd place. And he's back up into 5th position.
Oh, and Saviour's got a bit squirrely coming out of 4 as well, which has compromised him down the Wellington.
Yes, hasn't it? And suddenly it must be so frustrating. He found himself up in 3rd, falling back, makes up a place, loses it again, almost like within a couple of corners. Yeah, at least it's an exciting race for him. Those laps will be going by very, very quickly now.
Has RRL had another moment? Because Nick's got him now. Oh
yes, I think he has. He has been a little bit squirrely from time to time. He is the only driver. Oh no, is it Saviour with the 3-second penalty? So again, yes, Saviour is the one who really has to get past this group. The others can sort of say, hey, even if you get ahead, as long as they stay within 3 seconds, I'm in there with a shout. LRL now is the one with the flap wide open, and look how easily he gets that move done. I think he might be the only one with a little bit of ERS left. These 3 are just going...
Not anymore. He's used it all. I thought Agoni, 92% ERS.
Yeah, we might just see some mega lap from him at the end to take fastest lap as well. I'm sticking on board. Look at this shot as you see the Alpine and the AlphaTauri go side by side. Oh, it is Saviour who comes out on top. Sorry, go ahead.
There's only 2 drivers in this race with nearly full ERS, and they're like bookends. Agoni and Seppi at the bottom.
Yeah, and I think he might have actually left the race earlier, so that's the AI not using it. It's textbook from Agoni, really. Only use it if I'm in a bit of a trouble spot, and guess what? He hasn't been in trouble at all this race.
Oh,
not really.
Some.
Must have heard us saying now is the time to finally pull himself away. That gap between him and Chris Bailey was maybe coming down, was 5.5, now at 5, but yeah, it's simply not enough for Chris Bailey to stop this man from winning the World Championship as it stands.
The only thing that would really stop it is Agoni not really scoring.
Yes, yeah, he has to have a huge moment somewhere, but it doesn't look like it at the moment. I'm going to stick on board with the Alpine of Nick BT, who is all over over the back of Saviour. These 2 just won't stop going at it, and you know who that's brought into play as well. Kid Dynamite, the other Alpine driver, says, thank you very much for holding all of these guys up. Now I've got 4 laps to prove how high I can get, and well, maybe he can get a 4th place, which would be excellent considering the little incident he had earlier on.
I mean, to be fair to Chris, he's done everything he can. He just doesn't seem to have enough for Agoni tonight, but He says himself he was never expecting to be in the fight.
Yeah, precisely.
I think he'd be quite happy with a top 3 finish. I mean, he could be on for second here.
Yeah, and it's all about experience at the end of the day, isn't it? Making sure that you know you've got the pace. If you're in these title battles, then you're sort of forged in the fire, aren't you? You know if you've got it or not. And I think he says, yeah, I've definitely got it. You know, he's a faster driver this season, but as we all know, there's a new game, new handling, new physics to come. A lot could change.
Actually, if Chris finishes second, he cements himself second in the championship.
Excellent.
The only one that could get anywhere near him is Kid Dynamite.
Kid
He's 35 points behind, so...
Yeah, Kid Dynamite is the one I'm focused on at the moment. He was in 7th. I don't know if Nick BT let him pass or it was a genuine pass on the road, but Alpine teammates together at last, and he is the one eyeing up that Alpha Tauri. It's the one that was going back and forth between the other Alpine driver. Saviour's been able to deal with him now, but will he be able to deal with Kid Dynamite? The answer seems to be no. Look at how much more speed he took out there through Maggots and Beckett. And is he going to be a sitting duck for the Alpine behind? No, not quite. But that man who spun early on in the race, who was on 4th place on the grid, has made it all the way back up to 5th. I think it's been an excellent drive from him. And maybe he'll have LRL in his sights with 3 laps of this race to go.
I think he certainly will. We know how mighty Kid is at this track. I mean, Jay Sarge can testify to that one.
Yes, they are.
100% race, he led it from lights out to the last lap. And then suddenly Kid Dynamite appeared, who started P20 and took him on the last lap.
It is incredible. That's called it timing to perfection, isn't it, really? And
I mean, that's going to be your most gutting moment, because that's when Jay Sarge was in his dominant era as well.
Yes, yeah.
Barely anybody could touch him at that point.
It's those sort of things that shake you, isn't it? Like, oh my goodness.
Kid Dynamite went, bye! I'm having this win. And then it has seemed to give a bit of a downfall to Jay Sarge. I mean, hopefully it's not a coincidence and it's just everybody else has got faster.
Oh, I think these guys, particularly Tier 1, are always pushing each other to get better and better. And although there was an era of dominance, there always is. There's always another challenger. Somebody comes in either from outside or from within the group who says, yeah, you know what, I think I've got the setups, the pace and a little bit of the know-how this year to get ahead. And that's certainly what we've seen Ugoni doing, who now only has, coming up to having only 2 laps left before he's got his championship cemented. Kid Dynamite now all over the back of LRL. I think it might almost be inevitable that he gets past in the next couple of laps. He's going to have to defend for his life. Back up the field, we've got Chris Bailey, 4.5 seconds. That gap is coming down slightly, but as I said, it's not enough. And G-Star, who's had a mighty race, always had the pace there or thereabouts. That hard strategy, though, might be costing him towards the end. He hasn't quite had the tyre to keep up with the Mercedes down in front.
It could just be that Ugoni's backing off a little bit, taking it steady.
It could be if you had 4.2 seconds and you knew all you had to do is not bin it, maybe I would as well. Steady for him is probably my fastest lap around this track. That's how good he is. Oh, Kid Dynamite!
Yeah, he's got LRL.
He has got it done a little bit earlier than I thought he would, but no, I wonder...
He needed to, because we've only got a lap and a half to go.
Yes, I think it's going to be a little bit too much of a stretch to think he's going to catch up with G-Star and get a podium position, but who knows, that time is coming down.
It's took nearly 3/10 out of him, from Luffield to Cops. And it's still coming down.
Yeah, so he's certainly
this guy is insane round Silverstone.
He is, he just seems to know where all the grip is, where to get the best lines, the perfect setup. It's his home and it's stomping down for a reason. I think he'll be annoyed that he had that one mistake, or he could have really, thinking of the amount of places he's made up, he could have challenged for a win tonight.
What's one of your most memorable moments of racing Silverstone?
Probably and it's going to sound really sad, but it's my first ever points that I scored, or like proper points. I had 110. Oh, there's a coming together between Saviour and Nick BT. They were so they were doing a lot of battling, and Saviour says no, I put my hands up to that one, I'm really sorry, and like the gentleman he is, he gives the place back. So and has gone through in all of that scuffle, so he's up into 6th place, but it's Nick in 7th and Saviour down in 8th.
Kids just down a moment on the exit of 4.
Ooh, but on the last lap, of course.
He was in the DRS for G-Star as well.
I mean, it just shows how much he's pushing as well. So if he lost 0.6, maybe he could have had a slight moment. Look, you said Ugoni may be backing off. All the nerves are getting to him. It was 4.2, now it's 3.6. It is the last lap, but goodness me, maybe 1 3-second penalty, 1 slip-up. That's all it could take now, and he's got to navigate Maggots and Beckett's. He doesn't seem to have put a foot wrong yet. There are now only, 3 more corners to go, and then he'll have the sweet taste of victory and a Tier 1 championship in his hands.
He certainly will. Yeah, I think Kid probably could have caught G-Star if he hadn't had that moment.
No, that is a shame, but Kid is the comeback king, but it's the man who's been on top for so long this season. As he goes across the line, it's first place for Ugoni, excellent win, and that will be the Tier 1 championship. Chris Bailey in second, he did all he could tonight, but it wasn't quite enough. That's probably cemented second place for him as well. G-Star in third.
It definitely has.
Kid in fourth, and LRL in fifth, and across the line in sixth. See the rest of the drivers start to filter through. Nick in seventh, Xavier eighth, Reese Whitcomb ninth. Really brave. It's been an excellent performance from him. We said he held up a lot of cars as well. He will take the last point scoring position at the moment. Then we've got a few penalties to work out. Let's see how they shake out. Calvin 11th for the moment. Sergeant Uncle Sam ahead of quite a big train here from Joe Sarge and Clover. He finishes in 12th. Oh no, Hogo will be up into 12th, being able to stay away from the penalties has benefited him. Ghost Rider, our Tier 3 driver, 13th. Excellent drive from him. Sergeant Uncle Sam 14th. J Sarge 15th. And we've got Bit in the Red Bull across the line in 16th. Morphy is 17th. And last but not least, the moment of our drivers on track who haven't stayed out and are not a lap down, it's Chatty Duck will be across the line in 18th place. There we go, with a little pirouette to finish off. Oh, blimey. So that's been quite a busy race tonight. Who would you say is your driver of the day?
I think there's a few options with that. I mean, Agoni's been splendid throughout. Chris has had a great race as well. He's pushed as much as he could. He's done everything he could, really.
Yeah. You
couldn't have asked much more from him. But I think, considering he's come from 19th to 6th, I'm going to have to give it to Ant.
That's a good shout. I think Ant has been incredibly, we always say he's starting on the odd strategy or decides to start on the inters, but 6th place is absolutely amazing from him. I'm going to give a little shout out to Kid as well. One mistake I know might have cost him a little bit, but to make up those places and go all the way back up to 4th shows once again why he is one to watch around Silverstone. But here we are, there we go. We've got the Ferrari man on the top step. He takes in the adulation of the Tifosi, who will be going absolutely wild back home. It's been an incredible season from him, and he quite rightly will end it on the top step of the podium tonight and the top step overall. So once again, we'll go through the provisional classification for tonight. Bugoni in first, Chris Bailey second, G-Star in third, Kid in fourth, LRL in fifth, Ant in sixth, Nick seventh, Xavier eighth, Reese in ninth, Call Me the Brave 10th, BRG Calvin in 11th, 12th we've got Pova, 13th Ghost Rider, 14th Sergeant Uncle Sam, 15th J Sarge, 16th Bit, 17th Lorpy, Chatty Duck in 18th, and then unfortunately one lap down we've got the Slayer in 19th and SW Seppi in 20th place in the Williams. Thank you for joining me tonight, Simba. It's been absolutely lovely having you around. If you're still...
Thank you for having me, and obviously keeping it going and giving us all the action.
No, that's all right. I'm going to cough. I've got a lump in my throat. I've got a Murray Walker moment. I've got a lump in my throat from that moment. It's so emotional. And don't forget, everyone, to tune in on Wednesday night where we've got a couple more championships that might be decided. So, yeah, look forward to seeing you then. All right, everyone, take care.
Good night.